It's showtime. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Oh,
Look at me.
oh, how cute.
Well,
Look
that threw
at
me off guard. It's showtime indeed.
that.
Tuesday night on What's the Buzz? We got, cuz, let me tell you something here. We
hmm
got Mary Murphy herself. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong, won't on this fucking show.
Right?
I love that puppy. Look at this
Oh,
shit.
look at him or her.
Before we get to Mary Murphy, before we do that, because we're going to be with Mary a long time tonight.
hmm
Amelia, the
Yes.
Pitbull Chapman. How are you, baby?
Good.
What's
How are
happening?
you?
I'm smoking. Look at me. I'm smoking. I'm hot.
Right?
I'm on fire.
Me too.
I see the steam coming up.
It's been a long day. Tell you.
I got something coming up for you, baby. Lordy, Lordy. This young lady is an amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the woman who is our guest tonight. Mary Murphy is a national and international ballroom dance champion, accredited dance judge, and former judge and choreographer on the Fox Dance Competition reality show, So You Think You Can Dance. Mary was part of the original guest judge and choreographer pool when the season began back in 2005. Excuse me. In 2007, prior to season 3, Mary Murphy was announced as a permanent judge, a position only held by Nigel Lithgow, by the way, who was also the show's producer. A lot has transpired over the years, and tonight we will find out what Mary Murphy, Miss Hot Tamale Trainer herself, has been up to. So, will you please welcome, making her first What's the Buzz appearance, and my new best friend, will you welcome, please, Mary Murphy?
Yes.
How you
Welcome to
doing,
the show.
Thank you very much.
You're
Good to
welcome
be
very much. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Welcome.
Mary and I, we struck off a wonderful conversation. It was amazing. We talked for about 30 minutes. She talked dirty to me the whole time. It was really nice, very exciting. Yeah.
You get a word in edgewise?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you what. So I am going to let Amelia Chapman, because since you have a history with this young lady, tell everybody your connection to Mary Murphy, please.
Well, it's been we've been let's see, friends quite a few years. She's actually like my half sister, like my blood sister. Well, let's see, how long have we known each other? Like 10 years or
Yeah.
so.
At least.
Yeah. So she looks prettier in blonde
Gotta
than I
ask you a
do.
question, Amelia. I never asked you this. Do you dance, Amelia?
If I get taught how to dance, absolutely. But I think I have two left feet.
I'm 63, and I told my wife and my mother that I wanted to learn how to dance.
hmm
And they both looked at me and said, "Go back to bed." Um, I have this dancer inside of me yearning to
hmm
bust out. I can't explain it. I don't know where it comes from, but I spend hours on TikTok. I mean, literally hours on TikTok,
hmm
watching these, people of all ages dance. I'm going to talk to you about some of this stuff too.
hmm
First of all, in your opinion, Mary, and I have to have your opinion on this. Is there any age that you would recommend don't start dancing?
No. Any age can start dancing. I have a woman in my studio. She just started like 6 years ago, and she's now 84, and she is
Wow.
dancing 3 sessions a day. She's still working full time. She is doing things she thought she never could do. She never spent any time on herself. Her entire life was about her family and her career. And
Yeah.
now she's kind of the poster child for Berkshire Hathaway, because she is now selling more than she ever did, because she does have an outside interest and a passion in something. So now she said
Yeah.
people are more interested to talk to her. And she said they all want to know what's going on with her dancing. So she goes around the country. And
Amazing.
I personally,
It's really, really amazing. It's remarkable. I can't explain it. I see,
hmm
and Amelia, because you see
hmm
the stuff that I save on
Yes.
TikTok and Instagram, even though I don't know how to
hmm
work the damn thing.
hmm
Um, I find something I like. Oh, I like that. Here you go. I'm gonna check.
hmm
There are young kids like 8, 9 years old, like doing the tango and the merengue and these sensual dances. It's a little uncomfortable. I'm going to be very honest with you. For me, and I'm not a prude, mind you, at all. But it's a little uncomfortable for me when I see, like, a 9 and 10-year-old boy and girl doing this stuff that, adults should be doing to turn each other on. It's a
No, I
little
don't think you see
uncomfortable for
kids
me.
doing anything like that that are at that age. From 5 years old to about junior one and a little bit older, there's so many regulations now in place if they're competitive ballroom dancers that the steps that they're allowed to do, the costumes are not allowed to have any embellishments up until I think
Yeah.
like the age of 10 or 12. And
Right.
then after that, they're allowed to have embellishments. But that, it's a really bad teacher if you're seeing something like that, because nobody's going down that road. And we're all
Yeah.
heading towards, hopefully, there's a lot of work in progress to become an Olympic sport. Breakdancing is just joining the Summer Olympics this next Summer Olympics, and that's the first dance that's going to be put in. But we have a long way to go in ballroom, I think, to get there. And mainly because, honestly, it was more geared right now, at least in this country, it is a white sport, and we need to be inclusive of everybody. And I think that's why breakdancing it's more urban. It's done around the world. And we are slowly getting with it in ballroom as well. And so I have kids of, every ethnicity and that are ballroom dancing now from 5 years on up. So hopefully someday it will be recognized.
It's
as an Olympic
fascinating.
sport.
It's really fascinating. We're going to take a look tonight at some of your students in action, and we're going to take a look at you teaching, which is a little sneak peek. Before we go there, I want to say thank you to KNBC in Los Angeles for use of the clips. But we're going to get to that in a minute. I want to ask you, when did you start? When did you realize you had this bug inside you, this hot tamale train inside you?
I
That was loose.
I can honestly tell you, I never dreamed of this life. I grew up with 3 brothers, and I was the 4th boy, and I wanted to do everything they were doing and what I was allowed to do. At that point, and all those years ago, we only were allowed to do track and field as women in my school. It wasn't until my senior year that we were allowed to play basketball and volleyball. And of course, I've joined that too. I would say growing up, besides going out into the swamps and going fishing and, muskrat hunting and stuff like that, that I would really, the essence of a Huckleberry Mary. We had a canal and a river that ran through my little town, and that's what felt good to me, running around with no shoes and being on the canal.
Bit of a tomboy, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Just a bit. If you could just see the picture of me getting my communion, it was like.
I find that hard to imagine. You're so elegant and refined.
Until I had to go to work in college. And even then, I went to college in physical education. There was no dancing going on in my town. It was more like Footloose. A lot of religion, a lot of sports.
I read a little bit about your childhood and growing up. Dance competitions where you grew up were, slim and none.
None.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. Our school dances or our proms were a bust.
How did you discover dance then? Well, where did you have to go to discover dance? I mean, you had to find an outlet somewhere.
In college, it was like an elective I had to take, and I took modern dance. And so I liked it. And so I took as much of it as I possibly could. And there was one ballroom class, but I didn't really like that either. I was married at a very early age, and he moved me to Washington, D.C., and I walked into a ballroom dance studio for a summer job. Still did not like it. It was not really a school that was about dance. It was more, let's just say, they were more about finances than they were about teaching people to dance. And I was going to leave. And the manager said to me, he goes, I want to take you to the United States Ballroom Championships. I think he could feel that I was going to quit. And I was. And I said, yeah, I'd love to go see that. I've never been in New York City in my life. I was just even nervous about going to a bigger city than Washington, D.C.
Sure.
And I got up there, and it was just like a movie. And I walked into the room about 10 feet. I wasn't even seated. I hadn't watched any events, didn't even know what was going on. There was about 35 couples swooping across the floor and dancing.
Right.
And it hit me like a lightning bolt. I felt it on a cell, like it started at my head, went all the way down, just kabam. I looked up at the people that brought me. I said, I'm going to be the United States champion and I'm going to be a professional ballroom dancer. And they started laughing at me. And then they said, well, we were just hoping you'd stay at our studio.
Who's laughing now, Mary?
Right?
Tell me what. Oh, we have somebody in the chat room. Here you go.
They can't believe it, I'm sure. So when
We
I
have a gentleman in the chat room named Stephen Plim. I know who Stephen Plim is. He says, love her. I studied under John Gregory from 20th Century Fox. John was a dance teacher to the stars. We'll talk about him. Do you know who he is?
I don't, but I think I'm reading his credit right there.
Was personal manager to Errol Flynn, groomed talent like Judy Garland, Nikki Rooney. Wow, okay. Mr. Plim is a gentleman that handled Jerry Mathers, Adam West, Joe Fraser, Tiny Tim. His claim to fame is he was Tiny Tim's manager.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's, for real. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a very dear friend of mine, Steve Plim. And he's got, talking about manager to the stars. This guy's handled them all. I want to talk to you about the etiquette of dance. Now, back in the 80s, there was this boom going around called break dancing.
Yes.
And now we in fact, before we went on the air, we talked a little bit about it being an Olympic thing now.
Yeah.
Break dancing was considered outlaw at the time.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how I know about this. My background, I don't know if Amelia told you, my background is professional wrestling. Imagine that. So,
that's why we got the wrestling t-shirt.
Right? So, and in very much like, you know, some promotions that we called outlaw promotions, you know, the enticement of it being outlawed drew you to it. Breakdancing was getting people from all walks into the breakdance movement. I remember one woman particular, you might remember her. Her name was Lucinda Dickey. She was an actress dancer. And she did all those breaking boogaloo, you know, 1 and 2.
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo and Electric Boogaloo 2, I think it was.
Yeah, but now you got the B-boy thing happening, and you got you know other variations of essentially breakdancing, right? Why is it? Now, here's the question. It's a kind of long-winded way of asking, but why is it that dance goes in cycles like this? Has that always been the norm?
Yeah, I think it has always been the norm. You know, I think during the war, you know, when people started picking up the Lindy Hop and in the 50s dancing, you know, the swing and the cha-cha came to life at that point in time in our history. There's always been something that comes along every so often. I don't think we've ever seen anything like the 70s and the hustle era. And unfortunately, I was hitting, just finding a ballroom dance studio right at the very end of that before some DJ said disco sucks and things started to crumble around disco. But for me, it was so exciting because I went out to the club. It was right towards the end every single night. You didn't have to know anybody. If you knew how to dance, you'd dance all night. And then at 2:30 in the morning, you'd go someplace to dance. And then you'd have breakfast, go to sleep, go to work, and then do it all over again. And the numbers of people and the numbers of men that got into dancing at that time, almost every single dancer, male dancer that is around my age, they all said that they got into it because of, you know, Saturday Night Fever and dancing, and they figured out they could probably pick up more women if they knew how to dance really well.
Well, you sparked a question, Mary. You know, you had the Saturday Night Fever era in the 70s. You know, disco was the thing happening. Disco bled into the 80s for a little while, for a short term. And then there was the Kill Disco movement. Everybody got on that bandwagon. um, Again, this, big orchestrated music to big orchestrated dances. I remember one film in particular that really highlighted the dance of the day. Thank God It's Friday. You remember that one?
Yep.
Yep. And that was a hell of a dance movie, because even if you didn't know how to dance or couldn't dance, you found yourself bebopping to that music. I was the best chair dancer in New Jersey at the time. I could tell you that for damn sure.
I heard that.
Yeah, I am.
It did get around.
Amelia will tell you. She's told half the country by now, I'm sure. So it goes in cycles. Now, I talked about dance etiquette a little bit. Is there such a thing? And I've heard this term, and I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but a term I heard called dance etiquette. Explain to me what it is, or if it is, what is dance etiquette?
Well, of course, with kids, we teach a proper dance etiquette and manners, and you see those around, and every city has them. And they teach the kids manners, how to ask somebody to dance, how to hold somebody properly, how to lead somebody in an underarm turn without giving them a boob graze, things like that. And even today in salsa communities, I know that we teach that in our school as well. That kind of went out the window when Lambada came into town. And that went out fast. And it went out fast because people that were coming in for a group class didn't necessarily want to be bumping and grinding with somebody that they didn't like or didn't know or didn't want to or didn't even have a couple drinks with. It was just not, It wasn't a good fit. I had a feeling, I jumped on the bandwagon for just like a nanosecond during the Lambada days, but I said, this is not going to last. People are not going to like this. Certainly salsa is certainly coming on strong. Bachata now, which is a little bit of a slower dance, because not everybody can dance the fast salsa. And then we have the dance etiquette about what it's like being in a ballroom. You go counterclockwise around the room.
Yeah.
You don't go the opposite direction because you're just going to be killing everybody along the way. Those are kind of things. Usually never say no to somebody when you're at a ballroom dance party, when you're dancing. That was one of our etiquette things that we have in our school too. But we've also, one of the blessings that came out of COVID, at least in my own school, is that I started doing ballroom line dances and making people stronger without, having to rely on anybody's lead or follow or anything. And we're still doing it now. And I think we'll always have that in my school now, because so many people never have to sit out a single dance if they don't have a partner or they haven't been able to get up enough courage to go ask somebody. But we try to make the ballroom world inside a ballroom.
I have an etiquette question for you.
Yes.
Is it okay to not give a shit what you look like out on a dance floor?
Yeah, I don't think you have to. For me, I am happy to see people just dancing any kind of which way they want to be honest with you. And I think other people are always drawn to it. I think it's human nature. If I'm even at the mall and there's some kids starting to dance in the middle of the mall, I'm going to start looking. I think whether somebody's a good dancer or a bad dancer, it doesn't really matter. The fact that they enjoy the music and enjoy moving. I think we were naturally born that way. If you watch almost any child and you put on music and they're an infant, they will start moving to the music instinctively. It's someplace along the line, and I think in our culture that we scare it out of people, or especially young boys, that, oh my goodness, well, they might be gay if they start dancing. Hysteria that went along, it was around for a long time. There's still a little bit of that, certainly where I come from, you wouldn't have your kid doing, especially a boy doing dancing. There wasn't
People have very short memories, Mary, don't they? I mean, you'd be hard pressed to call Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire, sissy boys.
Exactly.
Without getting your ass kicked, for sure.
I mean, now we see, to be honest with you, the majority of the professional dancers in this country today are actually straight. So that is absolutely, a wrong idea about
Mhm.
you can't make anybody gay, as far as
Yeah.
that goes.
Mhm.
And certainly I've had long chats with a lot of my friends that are, and when they knew and everything else. And did
Mhm.
dancing have anything to do with it? And they're like, absolutely not. It has nothing to do with it.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I
Mary,
mean,
I'm gonna
anybody
I'm
can
gonna
be
make you a
happy.
very happy individual tonight, Mary, because I'm gonna turn it over to the pit bull, Amelia Pitbull Chapman.
No, I can understand what you were saying because I mean, no matter how old you are, you could be happy. Because I remember at the dance competition where we met as well, even with Michael. This lady won. I think it was like the last place you could win, and she was like in her late 50s, and she was so happy because her first year competition, and she won like $500 worth of dance classes lessons, and she was just
Wow.
the happiest person. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I could do this for like a whole year or so." And I said, "Well, congratulations." She goes, "Yes, look." And she said, "Could you take a picture with me?" And she says, "I know that you're Michael's sister-in-law and you were with Mary Murphy." And I said, I'm just here to have fun." She goes, "I don't care. Just take a picture with me. Look." She was just so happy to even win. I said, "Sure, come on, let's take a picture together." And she was just so happy to win.
You know,
And
the reason why I love ballroom dancing in
mhm,
particular so much is because, just because you're getting older
mhm,
and you've competed in sports when you were growing up, this
mhm.
is the beauty of it, is that you can compete against other people your age or younger if you feel
Yes,
like you can knock some, and that happens. And some of
yes.
these older people, take somebody younger down. Um,
Mhm,
it's particularly prideful for them too, to be able to do that and to be able to still strive and have determination towards
mhm.
life and to be able to dance gives that to people.
Mhm.
They
Oh,
feel
absolutely.
thrilled to be able to also, just
Mhm.
with the generations that are going on right now, as far as it's one of the few places that you will go into the ballroom and there will be a formal night. Everybody is dressed up. The women are putting on ball gowns with rhinestones and feathers.
Oh, yes.
I wasn't growing up. I call it Cinderella effect. For
Mhm.
all those tomboys out there that eventually became women and young women, and at a certain age, I call it, me and my other girlfriend, who were both tomboys,
Mhm.
I said, it was Cinderella effect. All of a sudden, we started caring about our nails or our makeup or our hair,
Mhm.
or the way we dressed, and we felt good about it. And so these women that also, and men that get to dress up in tuxedos, one of the last places that you can, especially out here
Mhm.
in California. Let me tell you, we are California casual.
Yes.
People that don't go to, I see it more on the East Coast when I go to New York and Boston, Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
People still in suits, women still dressed up. Women, oh my gosh, they're still wearing high heels. Good Lord. You
Mhm.
know, we're in flip flops,
Yes. And I was like, "Oh, yes, I get to dress up for a day," you know?
red carpet, you're not dressed up ever. And so
Right?
people still live out that golden
Mhm.
age of what it was like to be glammed and to
Mhm.
Yeah.
roll across the ballroom floor and feel
Yes.
elegant and beautiful.
Mary,
Yeah,
when you think of elegant dance, what's the first film that comes to mind for you?
Oh, certainly it would be a Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire movie, any of their movies. It was just, to me, they just floated across the floor. And, it doesn't have too much to do with what the ballroom technique, so to speak, is today,
Yeah.
but it was just their connection with one another and the glamour of it and just the constant twirling. And it was so romantic, I thought.
You mentioned an interesting word there.
No, I
You
have
said,
a friend that's there, a movie up
Mhm.
there
Oh,
called
yes, right
yeah,
behind you there. Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
and
Hell of a
why is
film, by the
it,
way.
right? Why
Oh,
is
is
it
that
that
Prince?
people want to
Is that
learn
Prince?
the quick step right away? Why is
what's
it
that?
that why is it that everyone wants to learn the quick step first of all?
Oh, I don't know. Not too many people in
I've
my
noticed
school
that.
want to learn that first.
It's because everybody's like, I ask them, I say, "Why do you want to learn the quick step?" I mean, it's just so pretty, I guess. It's so fast. At first,
It's
20
it's
seconds, I get tired.
Do
yeah,
you
it's
really
kind
think
of
so,
like
Amelia?
running a race,
Do
you
you,
Mhm.
know.
you really think that people want to learn the quick step first,
I've heard
Amelia?
a lot of people want to learn the quick step. That's the first step.
Really? That's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating to me because that's like, it looks difficult.
Yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
looks very technical to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
I
not the
mean,
easiest dance, and it's not one that I ever teach first, and
Mm-hmm.
especially
I
to,
wouldn't.
especially to beginners. But if a
Mm-hmm.
wedding couple comes in and they tell me that they want to do quick step, I'll say, well, if you give me the time, I'll
Mm-hmm.
happy to teach you. But if you think you can learn the quick step in 3 lessons, we can forget about it.
Yeah,
I'd be
Mary,
tired in
something
20
like that'll
seconds.
put me in the hospital, kid. I got news for you. Jesus. So let's play a little clip here. And first of all, a thank you to KNBC in Los Angeles for the clip. This is Mary Murphy doing what she does best. And oh, check this out.
Oh, beautiful.
Mary Murphy
There's a quick step.
dancing her little heart
Yes.
away. Now, Mary, talk to me about that little snippet we saw you dance. What is the name of the dance, and where was the competition?
Gosh, I can still remember where that was. That was called the Northwest Star Ball. It was in Seattle. And I don't believe I did. That other number was a quick step, and that was with a different partner he was named Bill Milner. The first one was Jim Desmond. And I don't know where that other one was at. And of course, that was the Northwest Star Ball.
What we're seeing here is you're teaching a class.
Yes.
And where is this class? Is this your school?
No, that was the first season of So You Think You Can Dance. And that was the year that we had 50 contestants. And this kid, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Ryan, I still remember his name. His hair was so spiky. He scared me at first because I've never been around a street hip hop kid. And he had all these chains on, and his hair was like just like it was like hard rock. And so because I had told them all they needed to go down and brush their teeth and put deodorant on because we were going to be doing Foxtrot that day. And I said that you were going to be up close and personal. And the network at that time, they had said that I was going to be a tougher judge than Simon Cowell. And look what I'm doing to these kids. To me, it was simple.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? No, I was.
There was some controversy about this young man here. Previously in the other shot, he had a blue shirt on. It wasn't. Here he is, Brandon Jones. Some controversy about him, whether he was what you were looking for on the show, build wise, because he's a large kid.
Right.
So, is there
that kid there that you're looking at? His name was Big Papa.
Is there a type that they look for? I mean, you don't see large people, generally speaking, on dance programs.
No, but believe me, there are large people that can really dance. So I don't think that's necessarily that we would rule somebody out. It's just that, especially, it just depends on what their talent is. So these kids were probably hip hop dancers, and they were amazing at what they did. And so that I will fight for somebody to make it into the show, even if they don't do as well in other styles, because if they're brilliant at what they do, they must go through.
Do you take it personal when somebody doesn't make it that you've trained or that you've coached along? Is it hard not to take it personal?
No, I don't think I took it personal. It's not easy because you want for somebody that has given their life in working out. But most of the kids in the show that have tried out from my school have, I didn't feel like they dedicated themselves. We have now children that come to this show that said that they have done everything in their power since the age of 3 to be on So You Think You Can Dance. That is a new dance warrior, we'll call it, that they are training in all styles. I wish they would go back to doing more ballroom on the show, because ballroom's a little bit more expensive, than the other styles to take. So they don't, and there's so many ballroom dances, they can't train in everything. So that's what I loved about the show in the early years, is because you would see somebody that was really great in contemporary, and then they did a slow foxtrot and they just were horrible at it. And it gave this amazing roller coaster to the show. One week they were brilliant. The next week they were like struggling. And we don't see that in the last few years, because basically almost everything they do is amazing because they are coming well trained. But if they would throw the foxtrot, the waltz, the quick step back in there, other dances, international Latin, if they do international rumba, and more paso dobles, we would see more struggle. And that
there are
interesting show to me than everybody being amazing.
Yeah. There are a number of films over the years that have kick-started the dance movement across the country. We mentioned, of course, Saturday Night Fever, Breakin' Boogaloo, the all 12 chapters of that film. Seemed like every other month there was another Breakin' Boogaloo movie coming out. More recently, in recent years, Shall We Dance with the Jennifer Lopez and Richard Gere. A guy much like myself, older in years, going through a little bit of a midlife crisis. Not a stretch, by the way, at all. But in the film, the idea was that this guy was trying to find a creative outlet, and he saw this woman dancing, and he actually didn't see her dancing. He just sees this woman standing in a window, and finds himself in the world of dance at Miss Mitzi's School of Dance, the fictitious dance school and film. And I asked you a question off camera: is it too late for somebody to learn how to dance? And you said, honestly, no. I'm 63. Okay, so there you go. I think you might have me by a year. I'm not sure. But at my age, and I'm not a thin fella. I'm about 190. Large and in charge. But a guy like me, how would dance benefit me physically and health wise?
Well, everything, of course, anything that you do physical is all tied together with the brain, and will improve your mood. Of course, it's going to burn calories. Like if you were to take a salsa dance class and then get better,
I'd end up in traction.
Yes, you can burn up to 500 calories for an hour. So there's many benefits to it. And not to mention, it just kind of feeds your soul when you are connected to music and connected with somebody else as well. We are going into an age, and I think we all know it, that we are going into an age of disconnection, and everybody on a phone and everybody on a computer. And the fact is it's less and less now, and it's concerning. We have seen studies of, I don't know if you've heard about Mad Hat Ballroom, about watching children in the lower income district come together and have to learn how to dance, and how they hated it in the beginning, and now how it's grown to be a big inner city competition, and how all the kids have to get along, and how they're dancing with one another. That same dance instructor took this idea back home, and he was originally from Palestine, and he took 8 couples from Israel and 8 Palestinian kids, teams, and brought them together in a ballroom. And the look on each other's face in the beginning, the hatred, because that's all they've ever known, is that you're to hate somebody from Palestine, or you're to hate the Jewish. And so by the end of the 8 weeks, it's just amazing to see these kids all laughing and playing and dancing with one another. There's a great power that goes along with dance. Many people who are suffering with different ailments and different situations, and myself, early on, it saved my life getting into dance, because I was in a very abusive relationship and marriage. And had it not been that I absolutely just found dance, I'm not so sure I'd be here today.
Yeah, I read a little bit about your life. People don't realize this. I want to just pull back the layers of the onion just a tad bit without revealing too much. You've had a hell of a run, kid, a hell of a journey,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Mhm.
You know, you've dealt with your share of abuse, both mental and physical. You know, being bullied. I'll use that a kind
Bullied,
word and say
yeah.
bullied.
Yes.
Mhm.
It it sounds better than tortured, but
Yeah.
bullied by any standard is still torture. But you've come through it with a smile and a better than average bank account. So the people that did these things to you can go piss off, and you can have the last laugh. Amelia, I'm going to
Yeah.
bring you up the bat, kid.
Well, I would just want to say,
Yes, ma'am.
it took me a lot of years to really get the full scope of that. I have to thank at least him personally, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I would have never been on So You Think You Can Dance. I would have never been in found ballroom dancing, just because he moved me to Washington, D.C. I
Yeah.
can look back on it now and go, wow, there was a silver lining. I couldn't see it for a few years. I couldn't see it. But looking back now, I'm going, wow, I would not have the life. I would have not been the person because I was told a million times I would be homeless if I ever left too. And that still drives me today. I work like a fool nonstop all the time. Like I literally had to put myself in bed for a day or two just because I do all the work for my 32nd anniversary bash of my studio. And I have a big show, and I do all the work, the cleaning, the everything, making the decorations, making the set. I do it. And it's because of him. I think I have that drive. I'm not so sure I'd be that way. I think I could have been a lazy bum maybe if I didn't go through that. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I just let people know that when I spoke, just let people know when I spoke to Mary a couple of weeks back in preparation for booking her on the show today. You were just getting over COVID. You were sick as a dog. You were sniffling. You were coughing, but you said, I'll be there somewhere or another. I'll be there. And you said, well, because I have to teach. And that was the kicker. And I have to teach. That was the thing.
He won't give up.
Dedication.
Mhm. Yes.
It's absolute dedication, or you're just a glutton for punishment.
No, Mary's going to do everything she can to teach. She will not give up. She is a teacher first.
Well, Amelia, hop on it. You are up.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. What advice would you give someone that's wanting to get into ballroom dancing?
Well, depending on what city they're in, I would certainly go around, and most dance studios give a special, and you can go in and check out all the different studios. And if you see people that you like the way that they dance, then I would pick that studio. But I would definitely check them all out first. And
see that, Angelo? That was for you.
That was for you.
I've been in touch with Miss Mitzi. I'm still trying to get Jennifer Lopez to teach me personally.
Hey, see, he replaced you already, Mary. Look at that. It was 39 minutes. See, look at that.
I'm working on it. Are you ready to play show and tell? And then I'll let you have some more questions.
Show and tell, yes.
Play show and tell. This is your favorite part. I know it's your favorite.
Absolutely, my favorite part. Show and tell.
On the show called Show and Tell. We believe, Amelia and I believe, that behind every picture there's a story.
Yes.
So I have a bunch of pictures. You want to do
juicy tales?
Before we do, why don't we do this? Before we do show and tell, let's have a word from our sponsor. Okay.
Okay.
Mary, hold your ears, kiddo.
Okay.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. Every well-groomed man needs a Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0. Get one now. Mention Wrestling Future, get a 20% discount. That's a generous discount, too, by the way. So say hi to our friends at Manscaped. Mary, I'm sorry you had to hear that. I was hoping Simon could hear
Things
that.
are important.
Yeah, right? I would have loved to have Nigel listen to that one. Talk about refinement. Oh, man, Nigel would have loved that. Let's play show and tell. Amelia,
Yes.
your favorite. Yeah,
Yes.
I
I bring
would
these
scream
things up.
for all the press when they would ask me to, and especially, I mean, you can only imagine my neighbors when I would live up in LA, and they would say, like in an early talk show, like at 7 a.m. and 5 a.m. my time, and say, "Give us a scream." I said, "All right." I said, "I'm going to wake up my neighbors."
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I would always say, turn your radio down wherever you're at right now, because they always wanted me to just do it as loud as I could. It was too funny. But there's no way that I ever have snapped at
Yeah.
anybody in the press.
This is why we do show and tell, because we got to get Amelia will tell you we're fair on the show. We get to the truth. We get to what's behind everything. And if somebody says it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Hey, I trust
Nope.
you, believe you.
Yeah.
But I still want to know if there's a juicy story behind the damn picture.
There's not. I swear.
Okay.
No. She would only ask if
That's
she
kind
gets
of a
asked to do it,
shame,
she'll
too.
do it.
It's kind of a shame too that you were, just posing, because I would have loved to seen somebody snap at the paparazzi for a change.
I'm going to tell you guys the truth that I was always worried about the paparazzi. They find you out on the street and they try to get you. They'll say different things to you to try to make you snap, but it never ever happened. But for the most part, I would say 99% of have always been very kind to me. And I'm very grateful for that because I know.
Yeah, amen.
Right?
So Amelia and I, before the show, were talking about your studio, your dance studio. You had a little close call there. The building next door to you caught fire.
It did. It was.
Did you lose anything? Were you okay?
It was a blaze. I mean, I just couldn't believe it was happening. And there was a bar mitzvah renting my facility at the time, and I was there, and somebody came in and said there was a fire, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I went out, and it didn't, just a few flames. I came back in, and I told everybody, not to worry, but there was a fire next door. I took one more walk back out, and the whole thing started to go up in flames. I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, everybody." The police came, said, "You got to get out of here now." And so everybody, I said, just like you would in a movie, I said, "Please gather your things." And it's the building next to us. It's not us. We're not on fire. And please walk to your car and please leave right now. And everybody got up and ran. I'm like,
Yeah.
Of course.
I just said, "Please
And you
walk."
stayed filming.
Absolutely. People are always going to
People
bull.
panic. And then the kids, young kids, they were all filming it. And then until the firemen and everybody got there, I was very lucky that they put up like 5 trucks and blew the water that way away from my building.
Yeah.
And luckily we didn't have Santa Ana winds.
You gotta love the cell phone generation, don't you?
Oh yeah.
No.
I'm not worried
Everything
about
makes
getting
it
in the car.
to YouTube.
And a total
Right.
thing could have blown, and
Yes, it
they
could have.
tried to get me to leave my building. I said no. The police
Amelia, you
got
are
in
up,
my
kid.
face.
Yeah,
I
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, Mary, you're still there filming this. Get out of the building. I kept trying to say, but I was like, okay,
I had
she's
a
not
wedding
gonna.
the next day.
Uh-huh.
There was no way I was leaving because it was going to be for my receptionist. The police officer tried to get me to leave. I said, "You can go ahead and arrest me." I said, "I'm not ruining my
She's not
reception."
leaving. No, she's gonna be tied down to that building.
Yeah.
She's not gonna leave. You can arrest.
I
Yep.
was there
Yeah,
till
we
4
heard that.
a.m.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Amelia said Mary was staying put. She wasn't moving.
She would. No. If
Her
I know
ass
Mary,
wasn't
she's gonna
going
be tied
nowhere.
to that. So she'll be tied to that building.
So let's talk about celebrity. You are, by your own admission and by your extensive biography, the most unlikely celebrity, and someone who, and quite frankly, and I can tell you, judging by, and I'm a pretty good judge of character, judging by the woman I'm speaking to tonight, you haven't let it get to your head. You seem well grounded. You seem, I mean, you're a kind, drug fueled nymphomaniac.
She's one of the sweetest people I know.
Yeah,
She
you
is.
really are. You're a sweetheart.
She is. I
Um,
mean, anytime I
so
ask
let
her, say, Mary, take a picture, she'll be right there with me.
so
Yeah.
let's talk about the sudden onset of fame in your life. So when you got So You Think You Can Dance, did you have any idea how many people were going to end up watching this show and it would be on for all these years what you wanted?
No, I don't even think any of us. The first season, they greenlit it so and gave them such a short period of time to get it on air. I don't really think Fox necessarily wanted it to work, um, but none of us knew because I got on the set and I would say, "Do you know what's going on? No. Do you know what's going on? No." I thought it was just me, but it was really everybody. But they were making it up as we were going along how it was going to play out.
Yeah.
And it just so happened it just took off in spite of not a lot of publicity, and it just became a huge hit. But I didn't really even really understand that till years later, that how big that hit was, because I didn't really know what the numbers were or what was what or anything.
Yeah.
It was just it was a lot of fun, I will say that. And for me, just every year when it would come up, I would be so excited to go on the road, and a town car would come to my house, and I can't wait to see what the kids are going to do, and I can't wait to find out who's going to just like blow me away, who's going to make me cry, because I do think it's extraordinary that a choreographer and the two dancers could make magic in a minute and 30 seconds and be able to tell a whole story that would affect me. And then I found out, like I felt like an idiot the first time I was crying on TV because I never really seen that with any other judges. And it's like I couldn't help it. I would be completely overcome by a certain dance and the story and everything about it. And then I found out people would write to me and they said, that made me cry, Mary, and I would be in some other country and somebody would say, that number. And then they were crying to it. And it was a lot of fun, I will say. And just seeing the talent that blew me away. I was like, I was like a kid in a candy store sitting there front row and center and being able to get paid to watch this. It was like somebody damn well pinched me.
Well, that's the best part, isn't it?
Along the way, I'd be like, I shouldn't be here. I felt like Forrest Gump. Like in all these extraordinary pictures, and I got to meet, Prince Charles and Julia Roberts, and just all these people that you just go, wow, are you kidding me?
Right.
And, I don't know. I just couldn't even believe that was my life.
Well, let's talk. You mentioned Julia Roberts. Let's talk about dance doubling for someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and I'm just going to be honest with you. Amelia and I have been trying to get Julia's brother on the show, Eric. In fact, I spoke to his wife today. Everything has to go through his wife. By the way, she played Brunella in Animal House. Sweet lady, very sweet lady. But let's talk a little bit about dance doubling for somebody, or doubling for someone in general. Were you comfortable in that role as a double? Did they? I mean, you know where I'm going with this?
Well, that was my first job in Hollywood, period, before So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh, okay.
This was way back when Julia was like probably the hottest movie star in the world. And I was not even told who I was auditioning. I was actually dancing at the United States Swing Championships, and there was about 2,000 people there, and we were kind of doing an Elvis swing number. And as I came off the floor, this weird looking lady in a fur leopard hat and a scarf around her, green scarf and tight pants and high heeled boots, put this piece of paper in my hand. I was so hot, I didn't even read it for a half an hour. I was just fanning myself with it. And then I looked at it and I said, geez, this is for an audition for a movie. And I said, oh God, we had just been up to LA 3 days in a row. It's not our cup of tea coming from San Diego. Traffic is horrible. I said, it's tomorrow. Do we really want to go back? So we went back, and there was like 150 dancers trying out for these 2 roles. And then we got called back again the next day. And I was like, oh my God, we've got to drive. And I started to learn in life that when I really don't want to do something, I seem to always get it. If I fight through it and walk through that door and go do it, I usually get something fabulous happens. And sure enough,
wonderful.
All back again. I had to go up 6 days now in a row, and now we're down to 3 couples. And then they finally told us who it was for. I almost keeled over. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so they put the 3 couples in the can, sent it down to the director. The director picked us, and we had the right body types. We looked just like them from behind, or at least I did back then. I can't do anymore.
Mary, let me say categorically. Let me say categorically, Mary, you look fine from behind. Don't worry about it, kid. You're good with me.
And 2 weeks later, I was on riding in first class, which I've never done before. And I was on the back of this massive plantation in Buford. And it was a very, very close set. And at that time, Julia had like 3 bodyguards. She was married to Lyle Lovett. I don't know if you remember.
Sure. Absolutely. I actually saw him last night.
And so many people didn't believe that was true. So they were all trying to get in to see if they could validate that or not. And Dennis Quaid was in the movie, and Kira Sedgwick. And so it was just Robert Duvall. And Robert Duvall came in. We were teaching Julia and Dennis in a dance tent that was like 12 by 12 on plywood floor in November. It was freezing. We had a little space heater, and Robert Duvall popped in the first day and said, oh, I heard there were some ballroom dancers on the set. And he loves ballroom dancer. He was married to a ballroom dancer at the time. And he was actually also working on his film called The Apostle. I think I can't remember. Did he write that too? But anyways, he asked me and the other choreographer to go. And he took us out into the boondocks to this church where these amazing singers were like, it was that was for me one of the best spontaneous moments of my life, to be able to go there with him and listen to this amazing choir that I guess they just had performed for Clinton's. And I was just beside myself sitting, I can't believe this is happening. I'm sitting here being able to witness something like this. My dance partner didn't want to go because he wanted to go into town, see what he could,
Oh, please.
You know what I mean? And I said, when I got back, I said, you missed one of the best things that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
I said, you missed out.
Incredible. How has, and invariably it all comes down to this, how has money changed you?
Well, it didn't change me that much, because I'm going to be honest with you. I trusted a lot of people with that. And so I've had a lot of bad luck in people embezzling money from me. And people did build my trust for many, many years. It wasn't like I just said, hey, handle my money. And that was hard to get over, and the pain and the hurt that you have.
That is just so foreign to me. I don't understand that. Okay. Now,
I'll tell you how it can happen for like someone like me, that I'm not really into that kind of details. I hate that part. I'm a worker bee. And
Well,
I was working so much.
that's
And
the
I,
thing,
I am being sent here and here and here and all over the
right?
and I was working the Canadian show at the same time.
Mhm.
I was taking red eyes back and forth to Canada to film the show, go into hair and makeup without hardly no sleep, and do another show.
Yeah.
And for a while, that was my life, just insanity. And I loved every second of it. But there was definitely, I
I
think,
just will never understand how a person works so hard all their life to get to this position and then says, okay, handle my money for me. How do you do that? How do you like give someone carte blanche over your finance? I would be my own booker. I'd be my own accountant, my own agent, my own manager.
I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I
know
certainly
I know
have learned the lesson, and I do that the last couple of years.
Mary, I got news for you, kid, on this, and I'll tell you straight up. I know a major celebrity right now in LA that does that himself.
I believe it. And
He
you know
books
what?
himself.
I've met different celebrities there that have had the same thing happen. I'm not going to say because I'm not sure, but that they've made it public. Even a female artist that her own father embezzled her money, and I can't even begin to imagine how painful that must have been.
It's just bizarre. It's just so bizarre. But this guy, he brokers his own deal. He agents his own contracts. You know, he has full carte blanche over his own career. His idea is, look, it's my name, it's my work, it's my money.
You have to these days because you don't know
Can't
who's going to
argue
be
with
taking
that.
your money. Yep.
Yeah.
Can't argue.
I will say this person I had working for me for a very long time and trusted completely.
Yeah.
But it's too tempting, I think, when you take over and you give somebody signing privileges.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Especially if it's family too. You can't even trust family.
Oh my God, yeah, Amelia, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And it's happened to the biggest and the best.
Yes.
Almost
everybody up there has a story like that, I will say.
Oh my God, yeah. Everybody from Sinatra to Billy Joel to Elvis, they've all got horror stories, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Amelia, to tell you what, since you're the sister-in-law here, I'm going to let you take us home.
Yes, I was just going to say, how can they find what's going to be next for Mary Murphy? How can they get a hold of you? To find out what's your next venue?
Well,
call Angelo.
Anybody can get a hold of me. I'm on social media. I'm not there very often, so if you don't see an answer back, I'm not really the best on that, but I think I probably am on Facebook with the Ballroom World more than any other social media. I do a little bit of Instagram. I'm not on Twitter hardly at all anymore. It just seems like it's all advertisements or somebody else is on my Twitter or something. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem like it used to be. People used to, my Twitter used to have the most, and I was like, I don't know what's going on in this anymore. So I'm not there very often.
Have any upcoming projects that you want to tell everybody about?
I'm working on myself right now, and I know how difficult because I've pitched a lot of different shows over the years, but I am pitching a show that is a sitcom comedy on my ballroom dance studio, and a cast of characters that have been there for years and years over the years of my 32 years of owning the studio. And so I've encountered a lot of crazy situations over those years. And so it's the only non-truth about it is that I've inherited a couple kids from my girlfriend who passed away. And so that is which is not true, but that it will intensify, and it will be somewhat kind of a model after my life. And believe it or not, I was writing this with somebody else before I didn't know I was going to be on the show. And it's about me when I was going off the show, but I didn't even know I was going to be taken off the show this year. And it's about me dealing with going off the show. I'm back in my dance studio. I'm cleaning the toilets. I'm doing this and that, and I've got this crazy cast of characters, and somebody has my job, and it all came true.
I'll tell you what, Mary, whatever we can do here to make this sitcom a reality, let me know.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We will help out in any way possible. Just as a side note, As
Mhm.
fate would have it, we didn't plan it this way.
Mm-mm.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
Tomorrow night, season 17, the auditions. So you think you can dance? You can't make this up. You just can't.
Mm-mm.
I'll tell you what. It's life. Real life is too bizarre. Trust me.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mary. Let me get serious for a minute, and Amelia will tell you I'm hardly ever
Mhm.
serious.
Yeah.
We would love to extend an invite to you to come back again and join us,
Thank
just
you.
to hang out and bullshit
Oh,
and
yeah.
have a good time.
All right.
Terrific.
Absolutely.
On behalf of the Hot Tomato Train, hot damn, Mary Murphy. On behalf of Amelia the Pitbull Chapman, I'm Mad Dog DeCipio. We'll see you next time. And what's the buzz?